Hello, everyone. Welcome to Monday's Daily Sip. I hope you all had a great weekend. The weather was pretty good in Cambridgeshire. I'm looking like I've been to Tenerife, even though it's only been in the UK. But yeah, I had a lovely, restful time. Lots of books and reading, and a bit of a rejuvenation was much needed. So, as you can see today, I've got Ross Lannon, who is on the show. So, welcome, first of all, Ross.
Thank you for having me. All right.
And so, I mean, you and I have had a couple of chats over the last couple of years. We're both bloggers and influencers and enjoy digital storytelling and all that world. So I'm very excited to talk to a brother in terms of digital influencing and disability. But as always, it'd be great just to kick off with a bit your backstory, kind of where you live and anything around education and your disability. That'd be kind of a great place to start, really.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So it's always the worst part, isn't it? Like the intro, like it's like a dating profile trying to sell
I
yourself.
know.
It's awful. But so yeah, I'm Ross. I'm 26 and I'm from Cornwall, and I've got SMA type 2, and even though I'm not Martin in person, we sort of cross paths online and through the blogging world and that. So yeah, I'm a lifestyle and disability blogger. That's kind of how I sell myself. I don't really have like a niche as such. I don't really have a specific way to describe my blog and the content I create. It's all, day to day. It can be quite random, but I like that. It keeps it exciting.
Yeah, that definitely resonates with me. So on one side, you could argue there is a niche because you're saying, as a disabled person, it's around navigating the world and all of its ups and downs and all the varied parts of life from the perspective of having a disability. So I think there's definitely a niche, if you like, just because of that, more unique level of having a disability. But then, yeah, there are some disabled influencers that obviously say, oh, I'm a disabled fashion blogger or whatever else it might be. But I think it's cool that it's all parts of life. And I think when we look at some of the media portrayal of disability, there's always these extremities. It's like triumph over tragedy, or it's pity and charity. And in a way, you're just helping address that by saying, I'm a guy, I wear clothes, I eat at restaurants, I do all the things that you do out there in the world, but it's just from the perspective of being in a wheelchair. So, I mean, how has SMA impacted your life, in the past and even now? What do you think similar to someone that's not disabled, and what's very different?
Probably in terms of more like confidence, to be honest, because I was a very shy, quiet person. So for me, sort of growing up, for me to like be putting myself out there online like I am now, so I've never really felt comfortable talking about SMA or disability in general. I've always been a very private person. Up until these last couple of years, and I think blogging and bits like that, and just having that sort of little platform online, I've grown so much in confidence that I do mention and I do talk about disability now. It's not my sole content, but it's obviously there.
No, I mean, I think like there are lines to be drawn, because I definitely had a phase where I was going off to uni, and although I have always had SMA and I've always needed care support and a wheelchair, I had an attitude that was like not wanting to acknowledge it as much as would be healthy. So I would feel maybe even like a bit uncomfortable with other disabled people, and I wanted to prove I could do everything that non-disabled people could do. And then at some point I was like, well, I do have to watch my health and my energy, and that's fine. Like, that's not a bad thing. That's my journey. But like almost became embracing and more proud, I suppose, of having that difference. And I think you know, even now and even in the future, that balance and dynamic will probably change as life changes, as my health changes. But have you sort of seen a change over your life of how you view being disabled?
Oh, definitely. Like, to the point where I've got a lot of friends who also have disabilities, but on the other hand, I have a lot of able-bodied friends as well. And I think a lot of my friends without disabilities don't actually have a clue about my day-to-day, I hate the word struggles, you know, but the day-to-day,
barriers or whatever,
which is great, because to me, I'm just Ross, we're a friend, and that's it. But because only recently, well, not before obviously all this lockdown stuff, when I had a friend round, and I sort of opened up to them a little bit and showed them a few little things, and they're like, "Oh my god, I never actually realised, you know, you need this, or you need help with that," or because we've just never talked about it, which I love, like, because it's never needed to be an issue. So yeah, I'm definitely opening up more as we go on, and like I said, that's down to confidence, really.
And do you think that the blogging had any sort of part of gaining more confidence, or do you think you sort of grew and felt more confident and so you then felt able to start blogging?
I think it's a bit of both. Yeah, I think just in myself, as you get older, I think you do get a little bit more general confidence. But in terms of the blog, you know, it has been like a bit of a diary, just an ongoing journal for me through adulthood.
It's quite cathartic as well, isn't it?
It is, and that has helped me. And because I like to keep, you know, 99% of my content is positive. Obviously, that attracts positive feedback as well, and I think that's obviously just helped me open up a bit more, I guess.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So, well, how did you get into? Would you say that you self-define as a blogger or influencer? There's a lot of buzzwords around, but I mean, essentially, like publishing your own content online. How did you get into that?
Yeah, I'd say I definitely describe myself more as a blogger. I don't know why I hate the word influencer.
Interesting.
I really hate it, like, with a passion. I don't know why. I think it's just, I have the vision of an influencer as just some, I don't know, someone with thousands of followers that will just flog anything they can just to get that paycheck. And that's just my personal opinion. But I don't know.
There's a dark side to every industry, and in marketing, there's certainly some dark corners. But yeah, I mean, with that brand or stereotype, it's definitely crap. I totally agree with that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's me being very stereotypical, because you do have your stereotypical influencers who will blog anything they can, whereas, you know, I'm very selective in the work and the jobs that I do choose.
Quite right, by the way. That would be one of my tips, is don't just work with anybody and don't only do it for the money. And we'll get onto some of the revenue side a bit later, but I think the fact you mentioned it, it's a very noble and good thing to be mindful.
Yeah, so like I said, I definitely define myself as more
as a blogger
than influencer. But yeah, that's kind of, they kind of come hand in hand, really. I think mainly for me, I sort of stumbled into it. I've watched a lot of YouTube. I like the whole media side of things. Like, one of my biggest passions in life, and as I'm sure you've seen, I've posted a few things about it, is sort of the representation of disabilities in the media. Like, I love media in general. I've done a few bits of TV and stuff myself. And whether that's me in front of the camera or behind the camera, I love that environment in general.
Yeah. And so what you're saying, by the way, I'm just changing the ticker role from influencer to blogger, if you wonder why I was looking down at my phone. But yeah, I mean, so as you said, there was an element around, like, as a consumer, you like to consume media off YouTube. So you sort of got interested just from watching others. So when did you decide to go from, I suppose, a consumer to being a creator?
It took me a long time. Like, I am a perfectionist. Like, I will hold my hands up. I'm, to my own, fault sometimes, I am too much of a perfectionist. So I will plan, and my
You're not
friends
alone, by the way. That's a very common trait that holds people back, but it's good to be self-aware of that fact as well.
Yeah, like, my friends take the mick out of me because I am like the organizer of the group. I always want to. I'm probably just a control freak, basically. I want to be, just so I know everything the way it should be. And yeah, I do. So in terms of the blog, yeah, I wanted everything to be prepared behind the scenes before I, launched that first. I had a backlog of a couple of posts. Everything was prepared months in advance because I want to be perfect. And I have these little visions of what I want. And I it's not very often that I go into something half-heartedly. Like, me and being spontaneous don't really go together, to be honest.
Yeah. And so when you sort of got into YouTube, you decided you wanted to do it. Was there like a why? And I was talk about what's your why in careers these days, but like, did you know that you wanted to create content to have some effect on people, or was it more just you wanted to create for your own artistic sort of reasons?
Yeah, it's a bit of both, really. I studied media at college, and I just loved it. So I've never, like, I don't have any qualifications in writing or the whole writing side of it.
Yeah,
I don't know where that came from, but I think I loved YouTube. I was always too shy to be in front of the camera, so I think that's why I started with the blog, because it was behind the scenes. I could write, you can take pictures, you can edit it. Like, even this, like doing a live video, scares the hell out of me. But
you're doing great, by the way, mate.
We're getting there slowly. But yeah, so I started with the blog because I wasn't confident enough to go straight into YouTube. And then as the time went on, I did the odd video. And I'm not a YouTuber or anything. I like to do the odd video, but my main focus is my blog. And it is the whole having a representation of disability in the media, because I feel like that's what I would personally love to be. What's the word? I don't know. That's the route I would like to go down. I'd love to be that sort of role model in a way.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to suggest it's your journey, and I kind of feel like there are similarities on our path. So how long have you been blogging now?
I think it's been 3 years.
3 years, yeah. So I started in 2009. So I've been going 11 years, and I'm 36. So like, we started at, you're a year or two younger than when I did my first blog, but similar age. And I'd always dreamt of doing sort of like travel journalism, and I'd always dreamt of being on TV. For whatever reason, I'm not quite sure. Like, I'm sure as a kid, there's a general like fame and success type vibe, which I've now realized that I don't do what I do for like fame or success. There's probably a lot of other easier ways, particularly on the financial side. But I think there is still something powerful about being in the media that you're talking about to change perceptions and stereotypes, particularly on disability. And quite soon after I started blogging, I was asked to go on BBC Breakfast, and I did some presenting. And I know you've had a couple of TV experiences as well, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, not to that extent. That sounds awesome, but yeah. I mean, most recently I was just one of those, random extras, one of those blokes in the background, which I loved. Like, that is.
But you're on a game show, right? Was it called Pointless?
It was called Letterbox.
Letterbox, yes. Okay.
Yeah, that was the game show. That was last year. Yeah, really. Yeah. Again, loved it. I love the whole I mean, I was absolutely terrible, and for the maybe, I think actually a friend recorded it, and they told me that, well, they timed it, and I think I was on there for 8 minutes in total.
Oh, wow.
Let alone I flew from Cornwall to Scotland, and I was there for 2 days.
Oh God.
For 8 minutes. So yeah,
That is TV and media that you like. We made some 5-minute films for accessible tourism sites, and that was at least 2 days of filming on location for 5 minutes of video. So it is a bit like that, I think, in the media. But I mean, it's interesting that you were saying, you know, kind of nervous of the camera, but on the other side, you do make YouTube videos and you've been on TV. So as you say, that confidence has definitely grown over time as well.
yeah, it doesn't really make sense to me either, really, because I don't know. Yeah, we've all got our own little demons, but I'm 100 times more confident than I used to be. I would never do anything like that, but now I'm just like, right, let's do it. I think you just got to bite the bullet and go for it, innit? You only live once, so why not?
Yeah. And I think, like you mentioned, some of the negative stereotypes of influencer marketing, or, you know, influencers in general. And that's all there and it's all real. And we all want to not have that in our world and not become that ourselves. But I think there's an underrated benefit. I think there's a mental health positive to blogging. Like, I know that when I've written really thoughtful pieces and others have like resonated with them, like it helped them. So I felt better for getting it off my chest than for like sorting through my thoughts and my feelings. So that was a mental health positive. But then to know that others have been benefited, the fact that it was published and not just left in a dusty diary or whatever it might be, is a mental health positive to me, because I know I've helped someone, but to them as well. So I think such a hot topic of mental health, I feel like blogging and influencing can have a positive upside if done appropriately. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Ross.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. Because sometimes, you know, you can sit and you can write something, and like I'm always getting told off by my family. Really, my parents are always, because obviously they follow my stuff online. They're like, "Why did you say that?" or "Why did you do that?" It's like sometimes I forget that people are actually reading or watching my stuff when I'm either just rambling or giving my opinion on something. But sometimes I have to be careful, because I think maybe I'll get myself in trouble one day. But yeah, no, in terms of mental health and that, I think it definitely helps both us as the writer to sometimes get things off the chest, and to think that you're possibly cheering up somebody else's day or helping them with something you've said. Brilliant. Yeah.
And I think if people do need some reward from anything, but you know, if they're debating going in to blogging, like as I said, we'll come on to soon, the commercial side is difficult. The having a proper paid job out of blogging is not as easy as some people make it appear on Instagram, but there is a reward to me. And I think you're saying the same about knowing that you help someone. That for me makes all that effort and time worthwhile. And I think on that point about effort and time, sometimes like the good influencers the good bloggers make it look effortless, but like a lot goes into it. So when you started, can you just share a bit more about what you had to do around the tech, and also around what things to create and write about?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm still pretty. I'd say I'm still pretty basic. Like a lot of my stuff, apart from the only thing I treated myself when I started this, I said I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy myself a nice laptop. As long as I've got my laptop, so I went out. I treated myself to a little MacBook Air, because it was nice and light, so I could still lift it. I was like, that's where I'm going to write all my stuff and film, you know, edit videos and that. But everything else, I just use my iPhone. So I don't really have any major equipment. cheeky little tripod. That's literally it, really.
Yeah.
But
Which
yeah,
I think for everyone watching is and particularly people thinking about blogging but not sure, or that's a common, like, perfectionism is something that people have to get over, because you have to just put it out there, because the more you do, the more you learn, but also the more you get feedback of what people like and what benefits them. So I think you have to just create and learn from it. And the other one is you can do all of this on, as you say, your phone and a laptop, which is pretty phenomenal. If you think 20, 30 years ago, that just wouldn't have been possible, right?
Yeah, and a lot of effort does go in behind the scenes. Like, a lot of people say to me, like, if they see, oh, you get sent something for free or something, they're like, oh, you're so lucky being this. And it's like, hang on, like, actually, I put a lot of time and effort over the years. Like, some people think, you can just make a website and that's it. It's successful, but it's really, really not. And I'm nowhere near where I want to be. Yeah, like, I don't see myself as that, and I'm very conscious of not portraying, like, even though I post a lot of positive stuff, I'm trying to be more aware of not promoting the perfect lifestyle.
Yeah, it's human. And to be human is to have tired days, sad days, obstacles, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even, I don't know if you can see, even my t-shirt now, it says, don't believe everything you see on social media. Like,
yeah,
it is, I'm more aware of that now, to try and show people, the ups and downs of everything, because it's a lot of hard work. And it is, when you press post to something, you do want something that you've put a lot of work into to be received well.
Yeah. So we'll come on to haters and trolls in a second a bit more, but on terms of the tech, obviously you talked about the hardware, like a phone, laptop, tripod, that's all you need. Totally agree. What about kind of, you mentioned a website. So, like, how did you go about creating the website and deciding what other platforms to be on as well?
Yeah, so I've always, I've never made a website, never done anything like that. So it was all completely self-taught. So yeah, I went down, I did my research on different sites, found what I thought worked best for me, and I started out on a free website where I had this massive long, like, user, like, browser name, because it was free. And then I did that for the first, probably the first 6 months or so. I was using this free site, and I didn't have my own official domain or anything. And it wasn't until, like, I actually thought, no, this is going well, and I love this, and I'm going to stick with it. I want to take it more seriously. That I then took it to the next level and started paying for my domain name, so it was more professional, so that brands and that were more likely to work with you.
Yeah, and I think that we've touched upon how perfectionism can be negative, and I've written a lot about that. But I think equally you should sort of know what kind of thing you want to create, what kind of people it's for, what kind of reaction or outcome you want them to have from it. And you might not know all of it, but, like, I think that, and then, like you said, to have a more professional looking site, it's going to just carry more credibility to followers and to potential brand partnerships and stuff. So yeah, I think that whilst perfectionism is a bit dangerous, I think actually when the way you're talking about it, you didn't go crazy with all the tech. You did it bit by bit and built up to it, and I think that's very sensible.
Yeah, it's totally trial and error. I mean, everyone's different, and you see all the different sites people have got. There's so many websites out there, and I often get messages from people saying, I'd like to start a blog, and what do you recommend, what site and stuff. And I was like, you have to look at them, because I looked at all your classics, your WordPress, your Blogger, all these different types of platforms to start on. And I tried them all, until I was happy with one that I found.
So what do you use now?
I use Wix.
Okay. I've not heard of that one.
I just found that one really
user friendly.
Yeah, it was really simple to use, and
Yeah.
the layout of the homepage and everything that I knew I wanted,
Yeah.
I found that worked best for me. So,
And what is your URL for people that want to check it out?
it's alifeonwheels.co.uk.
alifeonwheels.co.uk. Cool. So we mentioned briefly before some of the worry and the fear of people not liking what you put out, aka the kind of troll haters. Have you had any bad experiences?
I have. I've had a couple.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
happy to talk about it. I don't want to open up something that you don't want to share publicly.
No, of course. The first one I probably had was quite early on once I started, to be honest. Because, like I said, my blog, as well as like reviewing things, I also, general sharing stories and experiences in my life. And I shared a story that literally happened with me that week. I went to a local restaurant and something happened in the restaurant. There was sort of certain terminology and stuff used by staff that I didn't agree with towards myself and my friends who were also have disabilities.
Yeah.
So I wrote about it, and I just said, how I didn't agree with what they said, and I told them there on that night. And yeah, I just wrote about the story. I never expected, obviously, the blog to get as much attention as it did, to the point where the actual restaurant released an official statement on their page. And yeah, I got quite a lot of backlash from that, because people were messaging me saying that I'm trying to ruin a business's reputation and all this stuff. And I'm like, whoa, hang on a minute. Like, this was all very new to me still, like literally only a couple of months into it. So
yeah,
that was quite something. I wasn't used to that.
No, and that's a big thing to happen early on. But I mean, because I think there's different types of backlash, and really what happened there was the sort of uncomfort that comes from creating change. Like, that no one's suggesting that the restaurant set out to be disableist or to break the Equalities Act law, or like, I'm sure they were nice people and it was just more ignorance rather than actual being like on purpose horrible. But like at the same time, it's wrong. Like, wrong is wrong and truth is truth. And so actually you created change through your blog there.
Well, yeah, I'd like to think, and I was very, again, do I post this, do I not? But then it's like, if we're not going to try and educate people, and I spoke to them on the day when it happened, and still there was no acceptance or understanding. So I was like, no, I'm going to share this story. And yeah, it's been, well, I've not been back there since. So
No.
I'm gutted, because I love the food there. So
yeah, that is a shame. Yeah, it's a shame it couldn't be reconciled that they almost, well, you said they made a statement on the website, but like, yeah, if there could have been a way that you felt comfortable to return, and almost, and as you know, my big thing lately is businesses are missing out on disabled people as customers, as a business thing, not just as a legal or a moral thing. And so, yeah, like, they maybe could have addressed it from that perspective, and like made sure that you and your friends wanted to come back and even write a blog post that was better. Paul has just written their loss, and I think that's the other point, that you obviously have since gone to other restaurants where you do spend your money and go with your friends and they spend their money. So it does show that brands ought to be more up on this for that reason.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, I'm the biggest foodie going, so any restaurant, that is a loss from me, because I'll keep them in business by myself.
Yeah, no, because I'm on the troll haters side. Like, were there ever anything from the community that you've experienced?
Probably most recently, I shared a story. I was in a supermarket and I was approached by a man. He was a religious man, and I obviously didn't know this at the time, and he handed me this little piece of card.
Was this the one that you were on BBC Radio about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell the story for everybody else, but I remember I heard it on your Facebook, the interview you did.
Yeah, so he sort of tapped me on the shoulder and he handed me this card, and he was basically, you know, I don't know how long he was watching me. This was probably quite the worrying thing. And the card, he was like saying, "Do you believe in miracles?" And he believed that he could cure my disability in the middle of a supermarket. And at first I laughed it off, and the more I sort of carried on doing my shopping, I was, you know, it was really playing on my mind, and I was more disappointed in myself for not calling him out on it there and then, because the more I thought about it, the more it wound me up, and I thought, actually, no, this is really offensive. Like, why do you think I need a miracle, or why do you think, you know, I'm looking for your prayers? Like, I'm happy in myself and my life. And I reached out to him, and I sent him an email, because obviously I kept the card before any of this went public. I reached out to him and told him how I felt, just for my own conscience. And his response was just ridiculous. So then I thought, no, I'm going to write. I need to write about this. Again, it's the ignorance, and it might make somebody else think twice about approaching somebody
absolutely
about that, because it ruined my whole day. And you think someone's little comment can have a big effect on someone else. And in terms of trolls, obviously, once I shared the story on the radio and on the blog, obviously I had a bit of a backlash from quite a few religious people as well. So that was
but not from disabled people. When I said the community, I meant from people with a disability.
Oh no, it was actually amazing, the amount of people who
I would have thought they would have got behind that.
Shared the same thing. One person in particular, who I know, Carrie Ann, who you had on here the other day, she I remember a message that she sent me on her story, and it was just amazing, the amount of people that have been through similar situations.
No, so the religious side is an interesting one in terms of some people's, not a whole religion's view, but some people that are into religion, in religion, are having views about disability that are a bit of a strange one and not progressive, shall we say. So it's great you could raise awareness of that, and maybe even if that individual didn't come round, you know, someone else with a similar view may have empathized and been compassionate, which is a big part of religion and spirituality. They might have been more sensitive to your feelings, basically.
I mean, I remember when that story first came out, I was actually I was driving, and my friend who was sat in the passenger seat, because I had my phone on a hands-free thing on the dashboard, and the phone was just pinging, and my friend, as I was driving, my friend was reading me these comments that people were saying. I was just like, oh my god, like, it's just like, I've got everyone praying for me now. Like,
So just going some of our viewers and comments, Ross. I brought a few up earlier, but Chris said morning. Mark says, hey gents, good afternoon. Paul says morning. And this was a little while ago now, but Paul's also got SMA. It's been a bit of an SMA few days, actually, because I had Toby on Friday, you're on today, and I've got, do you know Tess Daly, who's quite big on Instagram?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Yeah, so Tess is on tomorrow. So the rest of the week is then not people with SMA, but it's been quite a SMA vibe. And then on LinkedIn, we've got Jensen said they've got SMA type 2, and Gavin was talking about your the restaurant situation, about how there should be a resolution one way or another. I know Gavin does a lot around connecting disabled people with their needs to sort of retail and that world. So might be something you and Gavin pick up with afterwards as well. But a few sort of general comments, but not specific questions coming in. So I mean, you started your blog, you know, you've done lots of content. We've talked about the mental health in the good way, but the troll and the haters in the bad way. I mean, really, like, how have you been able to sort of go from blogging Like, I know I started and my mum was my only reader. Like, how did you go about growing your readership and your community?
Ooh, I don't really know. It's one of those things, I think,
The
that
organic.
there is no secret. Otherwise, I think we'd all be doing it. And I don't want to sound like I'm here blowing my own trumpet, because I'm still very, in my opinion, on the small scale. Like, only this week I was talking to a company, and we were talking about potentially doing something together. And then the second they asked for that, like, follower count, follower number, and I hold my hands up, and I haven't got the most followers, but the engagement levels and the amount of people that get to see my post, like the reach, is but they don't always take that into account. People just want to see that follower number, which is such a shame when you're still classed as the smaller content creator.
Honestly, Ross, like, so I get what you mean in terms of, like, they did seem to be disinterested because of the follower number. I actually think you've got a good size following, and more importantly, you've got good engagement and click-throughs and stuff like that. The problem, and this like falls very much into the purple goat side of life now, that brands just haven't seen disabled people and disabled influencers as something that they really want to engage or embrace, whether through fear, whether through ignorance, who knows. And when you talk about the 0.06% of adverts with a disability or disabled person, when there's 20% of society, it's sort of back to your original point about representation in media. It's the same around representation in advertising and marketing. And that's what we're trying to address. And once a brand understands the spending power of disabled people, they will want to work with you with your follower number. It's not your follower number, it's just that they don't value it as a business proposition at the moment. So that is going to change. You have my word, because I am on it like a curve on it at the moment. But like, yeah, I mean, but in terms of the question around growing it, like, what have you got on Instagram, for example, follower wise?
See, Instagram is probably my worst, which is a shame, because I love Instagram. And Instagram probably is probably one of the most up and coming. That's the one people tend to look for, isn't it? I think on Instagram, when you've got about 600 and something.
Yeah, but that, if you think, like, it depends what brand you work with as well. But like, say it's a holiday brand and you work with them on a trip abroad and talk about how accessible and positive, and like that, obviously if it's not accessible and it's not positive, that's a different matter. But I would imagine a brand's going to reach out to you because they've made adaptations and changes that means it's appropriate for disabled people. Like, you don't need a handful of your followers to book that holiday to make it worthwhile on their business level anyway.
Exactly. And I tried to explain this to, I'm only telling you this story because it literally happened like 2 days ago. I tried to, explaining to this company, and I was like, yes, my follower number might be only a couple of thousand, but my posts alone this month, reached 35,000, and I was
That's a lot of people. Yeah.
I was like, the engagement is there, but it's just, you got to get that. They're only interested in that number, which is such a shame.
Yeah. Well, Chris is saying, I'll bring up his comment. He's saying, ignore follower numbers, quality, not quantity. Most people that want and encourage followers on a pure ego trip, your message is important. So I think that's partly back to the point about how it's, you have a broader message anyway beyond the money. But even in terms of brand deals, as we just said, and we're all in agreement basically that it's still about quality, not quantity. And yeah, I think there's a lot to be. And you mentioned Instagram, like, yeah, it's a bit like in vogue and a bit the one that people, although TikTok's taking over now, but a media platform is a media platform. So if it's your website and your blog that has the bigger reach, that is where you would get brand deals and brand partnerships. I think it's just about finding the right brand that wants to do it appropriately and not just looking for like the quick buck.
Yeah, no, I agree, totally agree, and thank you for saying that as well. Chris's comment, yeah, quality over quantity, definitely.
So Gavin is saying 100% it's easy to get followers. A friend posted a picture of a chocolate bar, 3,400 views. I post about disability equality, 400. So yeah, like there's a common thing of general influencer marketing. You know, if you've got a body for it, which I'm not suggesting that I do, but one could take their top off and then you just get a load of viewers because it's that sort of sex sells. But I think you just have to be very, you know, true to your message, which you are, and all this other corporate business brand side has just got to play catch up at the moment, which, you know, which is gonna, we're all working on just by being out there and representing and doing what we do. It is starting to break down, and there are, I mean, so let's talk about, you've had a couple of brand things that you've done already, sponsorship stuff. So what about a couple of more positive experiences?
Yeah, I think probably one of the biggest ones that maybe excited me the most was when I did the started working with Boohoo in terms of clothing and
just
events.
Boohoo, you know, just Boohoo. That's amazing, mate. That's brilliant.
So I was obviously buzzing to do that, and again, that's going down the route of the more representation. Like, you just don't see people with disabilities doing the mainstream stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not the brands and the collaboration stuff. That's a perk. Like, for me, the main focus, the main passion is the general blog, sharing the lifestyle stories and documenting my journey through adulthood. That's, you know, that's the passion. It's the little extras, they're the little perks for me, but that's not the sole purpose.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, so with Boohoo, what happened? Like, how did you end up talking to Boohoo? What did you do for them? I mean, I'm not like, not disclosing what they gave and money and stuff, but just, you know, how did it all work?
It's one of those, I'm trying to remember how it even happened. We started.
They're the best ways, by the way. People are always like desperate to get in front of business and like sell. But like, all the most amazing things I've ever done is because someone saw my content and they came to me and were like, let's do it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people do actually forget that, you know, a lot of the companies that I have worked with, I have approached as well. And then they're like, yeah, great, let's do something. Because, you know, if we do just sit back and wait for somebody to give you a call, the phone might not ever ring. So a lot of whether that's a secret, I don't know, but I'm not afraid to say that, yeah, I've contacted a lot of people, and that's how, you know, the majority of stuff has come about. But yeah, I love it when that email pings and somebody has actually found you. Like that. Yeah. That's even more exciting.
It's easier.
So, but yeah, Boohoo, we had a few emails back and forth, and then they suggested joining their affiliate program, right. And then we went down that route, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much you've done around affiliate versus sort of brand partnerships, but I know the hard part of affiliate is that you're only going to earn if you sell, but then you don't want to create content that is not like your normal content. That's quite a hard one, I think, to do.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and that's the only affiliate one that I've chosen to go with so far. And like I said, because that goes hand in hand probably with the word influencer, and as you know, it's not my favorite, and I'm not one to push anything onto anyone. So for me, trying to push sales, that's not me. I took this opportunity because it was just a great way of, again, stepping closer to general media and being involved in something that is more mainstream. Yeah.
Well, it's great to have Boohoo just on your sort of, I don't know if CVs are even a thing these days, but you know, on your portfolio, it's a great company to just say you've worked with, even if it helps you move up the ladder into other places as well.
Yeah, because obviously my blog is that's just a hobby for me. It's part time. It doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah.
So I do have, I do go out to work, and I have a 9 to 5 office job.
Yeah.
So that's something that people forget, really.
Would you like to do blogging as a job if all that, like if the money was there and it was in a way that you liked? Is that something you aspire to, or not necessarily?
Definitely, yeah. I think it would depend to an extent. Because I love it so much, I wouldn't want it to become, a job that you then resent or you don't enjoy.
Yeah.
So I am definitely happy to keep it as it's, the part-time hobby. But of course, I would love to take it to that next level. Yeah, who knows whether it will ever become full-time? I'm not sure, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's good to have like a goal and an aim that you'd love it if it was possible and if it was appropriate, but at the same time to still enjoy as it is. So if it never pays the bills, you still love doing it anyway.
Yeah.
So no, it's good. Can you hear me all right, Ross?
Yeah, I got you.
Cool. The USB just fell out of my mic, so I presume it switched to the other mic.
No, you're still there.
Good. So we got a bit of heckling going on in the audience. Ross, did you catch the sun, Marty? Chris, panda eyes. Ross, hungry eyes. So thanks to the back row hecklers there. And Gavin said, top tip, find someone you think is doing really well with their likes and take a look through the people who engage with their post. It is a real eye-opener. So that's kind of like, looking at audiences that you want to be attractive to and looking at what the content creators are doing as well. And then, not copying, but sort of working out your unique way, but through that strategy as well.
Yeah, it's a good tip.
Yeah. Cool. We're getting near the end now. Is there anything else that you'd like to mention, whether it be sort of through the story or tips for others, or maybe kind of like what's coming up for you in the future? Anything in those domains?
Not particularly. I think in terms of content, I think we're all, what with everything that's going on in the world right now, it's kind of none of us can really plan or prepare for anything. I'm trying to keep people's spirits up in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I put out a little
hard to be positive, right?
yeah, but I'm trying to keep myself entertained whilst also, trying to keep a few other people happy as well. I put out a little parody song a couple of weeks ago, which I think people really liked. So I'm glad that had a good reaction.
Yeah, no, I thought that was awesome. I mean, but that's the thing. Like, yeah, it's all, because we've done a couple of things on Horizons that are about food shopping for disabled people in Corona and like care plan Bs. And like, they are fundamental. Like for you day to day, that's something you have to be dealing with as a disabled person. But I think it doesn't mean that every disabled blogger has to engage in those topics. And I think people still need entertainment. Like, I touch upon Corona most days on the Daily Sib because it's part of my life and your life and the viewers' lives. But we still want that like relief and that entertainment. And I think it's fine to not always be the serious political blogger. It's good to have that lifestyle stuff.
It does, and I think I like to post content that I would like to see as well. I'm very visual, so I like photos, videos. I'm not much of a reader, so for me to, I wouldn't post something that's just pages full of words because I know that wouldn't interest me. So I'm trying to think of ways to visually keep people entertained and attract readers and that. So yeah,
have you been on TikTok?
I'm obsessed. I'm literally
It
obsessed.
was very addictive. Like there was this whole that's where 13-year-old girls are, which generally is not the sort of image you want to be having as like, oh, I'm on TikTok. But actually, most mainstream celebs have got a presence. Most digital influencers have got a presence. So talking as a digital blogger type person, it's not a bad place to be producing content. But like as just a consumer, it's hilarious. There's so much crazy stuff on there.
Honestly, in my friends group chats, it's probably every night we're sending each other like different videos and stuff. It's comedy gold. Yeah, I love it.
And I mean, it was a bit 6 to 12 months ago was where people went viral overnight, and I think a lot more are on it, so it's harder to like have one post and go massive. There's still that potential, but like Instagram, it's really hard to grow. So I think as a strategy, it is about there'll always be new social media platforms come along, and trying to know when they're going to blow up and get on them early is another strategy. But I mean, I like posted that silly dub thing of the coming to America with the neighbors, and that got like 3,000 views within half a day, which it's not 30,000, 300,000, but it's like just for a silly video, it's still a lot. If you put all those people in a room, it would be pretty crowded.
It's true. I did see that video of yours actually. It's very good.
I've been looking around for like what other one to do, but most of them are dance challenges, and for obvious reasons, they're not my thing.
Yeah, you won't see me doing any TikTok dances anytime soon. Don't worry. Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, really, mate. Unless there's anything else, obviously, lifeonwheels.co.uk, and on social channels, is it Life on Wheels or is it Ross Lannon?
We're just Ross Lannon. Yeah, at Ross Lannon.
Cool. So everyone, if you're watching, do follow Ross's journey and support his content. And if you're a brand on the LinkedIn side, let us know if you would like to do any sort of brand content stuff. But really, just to say thanks for being on the show. Chris is saying great chat today, chap. So thanks to everyone that's tuned in and watched. And yeah, we'll have to catch up again soon, mate.
Definitely. Thanks for that.
Cool. Take care, mate. I'll see you soon.
See you later. Bye.
Bye, everyone. See you tomorrow.